So for the main topic of this episode, we're going to talk about managing your board game collection or a board game collection.
It's not the meat of the episode.
It's the meat of the episode. The meat of the episode.
It's a little appetizer.
I'm going to make shirts that says MeepleCore, the meat of the episode, and people are just going to be like, what? But I'll make our logo look like the Arby's logo.
MeepleCore's got the meats.
Yeah. Except it's like a kind of like a meeple with the little... Anyway. So obviously, we have pretty big board game collections, I would say. Matt, you got a pretty good... It's deceptive, right?
Larger than average.
Just basically with a wall.
It's over 150.
Yeah,
I mean,
so that's pretty good.
yeah.
What do you got, Eric? Do you know?
It's around 500?
Oh,
Five
yeah?
games. No, 500 maybe.
Mine's a little bit deceptive. I have over 1,000, but I'm counting my like collectible card games and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't really around us. They're shoved into 24 of those plastic boxes in my closet. And there's probably like 50 games there, I would say. So, and then maybe include some of the rule books to miniature games, which I feel like that's appropriate. Like War Machine counts as a game, but really it's like 50 games because I have like an entire bookshelf. What about you, George?
About 1,300. So it's too big.
That's fair. So
That's what
how do we
said.
manage? Oh God, how do we manage
Sorry.
our board game collections? So there's a couple of things that we can talk about in this bullet point stuff. First off, let's talk about storage and shelves and things like that. Because obviously, if you got a lot of games, you got to have a place to put them or do stuff with.
I recommend bookshelves.
Okay, well, Eric has an Expedit, right? Or is it a Calyx?
Calyx.
Whatever. So it's like the stepchild of it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, do you like that? I mean, do you?
I do. I like it better than regular bookshelves.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you find like you can use all the space? I kind of feel like the only problem with Calyx.
Is it? Yeah, the cube. Yeah. So what I have to do is kind of move around games and not have enough games where it's like, oh, well, I got this much space. I got to find a game that takes up this much space.
Right, because if you're stacking them vertically, for those who are listening and not seeing Eric's hands, if you stack them vertically, then you almost have, you can stack like what, 3 or 4 Ticket to Ride style boxes, and then you have a half a Ticket to Ride style box left.
Right. You need some thin games.
Right.
Sometimes I keep around some thinner games just for it fits in that spot.
I'm kind of thinking about selling this one, but it really fits there well.
Right.
Now, but what the problem I was actually talking about is above space. So from the top of the Ticket to Ride box to the top of the next shelf is almost a few inches.
Oh yeah, you gotta fill that space.
But then it makes it look bad. I mean, I'm kind of doing that with some of my shelves right there.
Yeah.
But man, I like the fact that with normal traditional bookshelves, you can almost get no space above the board games. I do leave a little bit of space because you got to put your fingers in there to grab and pull.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I thought about doing Calyx. I really wanted to do Billy's. The only problem with Billy's, which are another IKEA shelf, they're too shallow, so the board games stick out the front a few inches.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really want.
That's another good thing about the Calyx is it's open back, so you just push it on through and they all light up.
They all line up on the front, but they're sticking out the back.
Right.
What do you
no one
use?
sees the back.
I don't use bookshelves. I use these shelves that I got from I think like Home Depot or something, and they're just
the plastic shelves.
they're plastic. Yeah, you can sort of keep adding on to them.
Yeah.
They go like 5 levels high.
Are they the
They're
ones
very strong.
like almost like storage shelves you put in the basement kind of deal?
Definitely, yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah. And I have
Or
them.
like in your garage or something like that.
Well, I have storage, so they're in a storage.
Well, what about the games that are actually in your house?
I have some metal shelves that are there. So I have, but they're kind of the same size. They're just
They're just metal.
They're not attractive. Yeah,
Like the stuff they have at like Lexicon or gaming conventions.
exactly
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
Like the
Exactly.
library?
The metal ones they had. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've got a couple of those.
So and I do too. I have 2 of those. So
Matt, what's your solution going to be?
3. I have 3 of those.
Have you thought about
Adding
this?
No, a little bit. The game room will probably be one of the later things I do, just because of family reasons in other rooms. Not sure. I do have a nice big closet though. There's a walk-in closet.
Yeah.
I would imagine a lot of it'll probably go in there.
for now, or do you plan on getting bookshelves to put them on?
No, I would think even in the walk-in closet, I could probably get some like shelves. Actually, there's like a shelf that's about head level, and if I probably build some shelves onto it, I could probably go down to the floor with it, and then have like a pretty large size wall.
Yeah.
To put the games. I would imagine I would have some kind of bookshelves eventually. That is what I had at our old house. I had a couple sets of bookshelves. Most recently, though, they were just in boxes in storage. But
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, and even at your house, they were just kind of stacked on top of each other, right?
what do you mean, like just out and about, or?
No, I mean they were like against a wall, weren't they? Like just stacked on top of each other.
Oh, they were there for a little bit, but then we got another bookshelf to be able to put them on.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, because I kind of brought more of the games that we played more regularly out to the living room after we got rid of our computer because it
Gotcha.
motherboard died
Yep.
or whatever. So we put a bookshelf in that place where the computer desk was.
I think that if I had the time, I think custom bookshelves would probably be the way I go, because
Never happened.
and it'll never happen. But if I did,
Yes.
I think that would probably be the best solution because you can make the shelves. The problem with bookshelves,
Exactly how you want them.
right? The problem with bookshelves is they'll sag if you put like the games on there. Like some of my shelves, you can see they're bowing a little bit, and every
After
once in a
time.
while, right? Every once in a while, I'll take the shelves off and flip them over, and then just let them
Sag the other way.
sag the other way.
That
right?
happens. That happens with the plastic storage ones too.
Does it really?
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, probably doesn't happen on the metal ones, I would
I know.
assume. Yeah. Which, Matt, that actually might work as a good solution inside the closet.
I was just thinking about I could make metal shelves very easily.
That's true. Oh, that's true. Being a sheet metal fabricator, I
Yes,
guess.
I could.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I would say you're talking about the doing the custom. I did make like an insert for a regular bookcase for my smaller games, which is basically a little table that goes one end to the other. So you can put little games on the bottom, and then little games on top of it, where I don't have to like stack up little games.
Yeah.
So speaking of the next bullet point, let's segue into how you handle small games.
That's how I do it.
Thank you, Eric. So, all right, yeah, I remember that little thing you did for that.
Mhm.
You know,
I made one for the Calyx cubes as well. So
Yeah.
same thing.
But do you lose a lot of space with that because you're technically only using half the depth or something?
You are to some extent, but
So it just looks pretty, but you lose
yeah, I'm not using the
functional
back
space.
half, but I have access and I can see all the games. Whereas I can stack more games in there, but I wouldn't be able to see anything in the back if I'm doing all of the games.
And you're like me. You like to just stand there and look and see
Right.
everything, not do a lot of actions to get to stuff.
Yeah,
Like-
I don't want to. Also, like I don't want to pick up. If it's a stack of 6 games and they're all stacked up and try to get one game and all the other games kind of fall down or whatever.
Well, like
else.
small card games, I know a lot of people for the Calyx or the Expedit will buy those drawers that kind of attach into the cube,
no.
and you can pull them out.
Mhm.
Like basically, they're just boxes that sit on the shelf that's the same size.
Right.
But you have to pull them out and take a lid off, and then you have everything stacked in there. Doesn't have to be neat, but I mean, I guess you have a lot in there. But if you're just standing there looking, it's hard to see.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of see if you're watching the video, the shelf that's directly behind me has a lot of small games, and I kind of do more of I'm using 3/4 of the actual space because I've got in the back I put like a riser. If you're familiar with
That's
those
what I did
card game
previously.
boxes, yeah, like those old Magic the Gathering card boxes that you could put like 1,000 cards in a line. I've got one of those at the bottom, and they actually have decks of various CCGs in them, but I never really need to access them.
Right.
So I put that in the back. I stack card games on top of it, and I put card games in front, so you can see like 2 tiers of games.
Mm-hmm.
But I am not using all of the open space.
Yeah, that's a nice system though. I like how having these bookshelves you can actually access everything because
Yeah.
the storage shelves that I have, they're deep, so you actually have 2
Games in the back.
sets
Oh wow!
of games on each shelf.
So you almost have to just know where stuff is.
You have to know, yeah.
If I had this space, the other thing I would like to do, well, for you guys, this shelf over here with all my DVDs and stuff like that, basically it's the depth of a DVD, and it's a media shelf for DVDs and CDs and games and stuff, that would be so excellent for card games.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you just
If you
line those
had-
up and bam, bam, bam.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
Tons and tons of small games that
Yeah.
would definitely work.
Right. I have quite a bit.
And
I was
you
going
have-
to
But
say
you don't
you
need-
definitely do have
Right.
that many.
You don't need the one I have. It holds like 1,000 DVDs. It's
Right.
crazy. It's
So they make smaller
7
ones.
foot tall and like 4.5 foot wide, or 6 foot wide, I think. I don't know, like 5 feet wide. It's huge. But you can get one that's half of that, or like the CD towers that kind of go upward. Maybe you can get something like that, or whatever.
Yeah.
But as you collect games, you realize, wow, I have a lot of games. So
Yeah.
there's a couple of things to this part. One, well, at some point I started getting too many games. I'm like, I really need to start trading games I don't play, or trading games. Like,
Yeah.
when do you decide to manage it to where you are getting rid of old games, or you're cycling your inventory, or whatever? Like, what do you do with that?
I've hit that point recently.
Have you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because you
and
don't want to buy another storage unit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
After a while, you just run out of space. And,
Yeah.
So I've had to make some, get rid of some games and sort of cut back on my purchases as well. So I'm in the process now of going through and figuring out, what am I going to put on my trade list? What am I going to put on my sale on BGG?
What about you, Eric? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll do Matt.
What was the question?
Matt, you go.
No, go. So getting rid of games.
Like,
Yeah.
When to?
not really when. I guess when to, but yeah.
Yeah. So, one big thing is space constraints. I am supposedly supposed to stay within 3 bookshelves of games.
How big can the bookshelf could be?
Right. Yeah, that's what I did.
I got a Calyx. It's like 3
Yeah,
times
right.
bigger.
So it was 3 regular bookshelves. I replaced one of them with a Calyx that opened up some space, and I'm gonna have to probably get another Calyx out. I'm way overfilled. 500 games.
This
takes
is
up
like
quite a bit of room.
when somebody asks for a wish in D&D, right? In D&D, you can get to the point where you can cast the wish spell, but you got to almost write a contract to the GM on how the wish spell, because they're like,
Oh.
I want $1 million or gold, and it's like, cool, it drops on you and kills you. Like this is kind of like when your wife gives you a space constraint. You you can have 3 bookshelves. Each bookshelf must not be larger.
Right. And this by this. So I've got. I just kind of looked at it. I have 500 something games. I've actually got rid of almost 700 games. So still, with getting rid of that many games, I still need to pare down.
That's fair. What about you, Matt?
I figured out, even though I don't have a lot of games, carrying all those boxes down the steps.
Yeah.
So our third U-Haul truck, 15-foot U-Haul truck, 3/4 of it was in the game room. And whether that was games, old action figures, my old card collection, whatever. But just I told my wife, I was like, I am guilty of this too, but I feel like we've outgrown this house already.
Even the new one?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Because she had so many books, and I was like, we got to get rid of stuff. I was like, this is ridiculous. So, like I said, even though my collection doesn't sound very large, I'm sure there's games in there that I'm going to be okay with parting with, and I'm fine with that. I could try and trade them, and maybe get some better games, or maybe I can just try and offload them. We'll see where it goes, but
Well, you kind of may have already answered this question, but if you had unlimited space, would you keep everything that you came across?
For myself, I wouldn't, because with the amount of games and games getting better, there are games I'm like, okay, I've played this one, I've seen all that I want to see with it. I'm okay moving it along. So there's also, say, even at I'm at 500 something games. I have more games if I play one game a day that I'm not going to even get to all my games in a year. And so there are going to be games in my collection that I probably won't play for multiple years.
What about you, George?
I guess if I had unlimited space, then
might as well.
why wouldn't I? Right? If I could just collect all the games, I could have this massive museum, and people could come and enjoy them.
Yeah. So that is one thing. It is almost you're getting games to play them, obviously, but part of it, for a lot of people is almost it is a collection. It is something that
I guess what I was saying is take away the space aspect, but keep the budget aspect.
Oh, then no, yeah, I would.
I'm not saying if you could snap your fingers and have every game in the world.
Right. Would you do it?
Yeah. No, so if you didn't have to get rid of games because of space, would you just keep everything that you came across that you purchased?
No, because if I have to pay for the space, then no, definitely no.
No, not paying for the space. What I mean is if you buy
Space
a game,
is free.
if you buy a game and you have an unlimited amount of space, right? You buy a game and you're like, this game's meh.
Okay.
Or
Because you have the space, would you keep it or would you still get rid of it?
I'd still get rid of it, but I'd selectively get rid of it. I'd give it to people that I know would like that particular theme or game.
That's
or
fair.
Whatever. Yeah.
Well, going into that kind of, when you're culling games, obviously it's easy to choose stuff you just don't like. But what about keeping too many of something, like too many deck builders or too many pickup delivery or too many dexterity games? Like, do you ever feel like you get into a position where you have too many of one style of game and they compete for your time or space?
Myself don't, but also, I go game to game on how much I like it. I don't try to be like, I already got one deck builder I like a lot. I'm not going to keep this one because it's also a deck builder. So for me, I don't put that stipulation into effect, but I know a lot of people do. That's like, all right, I have this mechanism that I like a lot, so this game provides that, that itch. It scratches that itch for that mechanism, so I don't need another game that does the same thing. Some people do that. I don't.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that either. Because most of the time, maybe there are games that kind of have the same mechanism, but it's going to be a little different or different enough to feel
a different theme, or there's other mechanisms that go into it
that'll give you a unique experience, game to game. So yeah, I definitely don't sit there and look at it that way. So
I would have said it that I don't, but
there's no way you do with 1,300 games.
Yeah. but I think that the way that it plays out is, okay, you have these games, and then before you buy a new game, you're going over it in your mind.
Like,
I have all these deck builders.
Yeah.
So do I really need this deck builder?
Another one?
Is it
getting another one?
different enough?
Getting rid of ones you already have.
Yeah. But
I guess it's the same thing.
It's going to be the same thing.
Yeah. I kind of go with what George is saying because I have a ton of deck builders that I actually really enjoy.
But you still got the Guar deck builder.
That's different. I would have bought that. I would have bought that if it was a retheme of Clue.
I get you, but that's what I'm saying though. So it's you're going to have that instance with
yeah,
anything.
That's true. I guess yeah. But if it's not something that has like some kind of weird sentimental value or nostalgia or something,
or a certain theme that you like a lot, or
right, you're going to keep the things you love. Period.
Or you're going to even
it has to be a pretty strong theme. Gore. You know what? As a matter of fact, I would have debated buying the Gore game if they weren't there to sign it.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have been like, yeah, it's a
cool.
deck builder. It's Guar though.
It's probably not.
But they're here to sign it, and we're gonna get a picture with them. So that kind of changed it up. But I mean, there's other deck builders, or there's other. I wouldn't even pick on deck builders. I just think it's a really easy theme to do,
right?
Or a really easy mechanic for people to build a game out of. That there's just plenty of them, and there's a couple I've passed because I'm like, it's a deck builder. Actually, realistically, the biggest thing that I stay away from now is just co-op games.
That's what I was gonna tell you.
Yeah,
probably, which is different for George. You probably gravitate to co-op games. Tim's gonna be opposite. Probably gravitates away.
I do, but now I'm very picky about them.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think co-op games. I have so many really good ones that it's really hard to put another one in that mix. Yeah, because you play a co-op game now and it's, I don't know. It's either like only fun because it's doing something new, but it may not even be that great of a game. It's just like, wow, that's a cool mech. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how to explain
good
it,
gimmick.
but
it really affects me in terms of what I pick up now. I'm not looking to get rid of a lot of my games that I know I like just because they're co-ops or whatever.
Yeah.
But for example, I've been looking at Bethel Woods, ever since it came out on Kickstarter, and I've been thinking I'd probably really like that. But then I haven't gotten it this whole time because I think I have enough co-ops.
That's fair. Well, what about, and this is the last thing unless you guys have anything else, What about replacing a game? We've talked about that before, where a game kind of replaces a game, like something like, for instance, this kills Pandemic or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever feel like that is something you do in your collection, or do you just keep them anyway? Like, if you like both games, you're not just going to replace it, or maybe you think, wow, I'll never play this one again because I will play this, so I'm going to get rid of this.
I think it's a real thing that can happen. I'm trying to think of a good example of it, but it definitely happens. Yeah.
Definitely.
Matt, have you ever?
I also can't think of anything off the top of my head that's happened to me. Like, oh, I got this new deck builder, and I don't want to ever go back to my old one that I liked.
Do you still have Dominion?
I do.
Yeah. Or
I mean, it's been on my shelf for a couple years unplayed, but I wouldn't mind actually. I mean, I say this now, but am I actually going to go and pick it up and play it? I may, but
right. But you're not looking at it as in, I've got so many other games that do this better, because this is basically the basic of the basic, but it was a pioneer.
Mm-hmm. I have decided not to pursue the expansions to Dominion, just knowing that I probably won't get it out.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But I haven't got rid of my copy.
All right.
I have an example. I just picked up Warehouse 13, and that would absolutely kill Battlestar Galactica. And right now, it's sort of in a battle with Dark Moon.
I haven't played Dark Moon, but
I
want to try it out.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we haven't played it.
Matt, he didn't play it with us?
I didn't play it with you.
You played it with me.
Dark Moon?
Dark Moon. We played it at Origins. It was the year that we went with just Jeremy and Corbin, I believe, or Daniel.
Where did we play Dark Moon at?
We played it at Origins.
It's a trader game where you have dice.
Remember you rolling dice?
Sorry, what's the game that has like the dark cover with the orc face on it that says Dark or Moon in it? No,
darkest.
Never mind. Yeah, you're talking about it's like the Thing.
It's like the Thing. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It is. Yeah. So those two are kind of battling it out in my mental space.
They're
right now.
similar enough.
I can see that.
Where you're like,
I can see that.
Which one of these two?
I'm not going to keep both.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can see that. When two games are really similar, then you might go for the theme you like better, or which one is a tiny bit better.
Yeah. Well, cool. Anything else you want to add, or anything else about managing the collection that I didn't think of putting a bullet point for?
Well, once you have a large collection, then it becomes an issue as to how you organize it. And
That's
I've
fair.
had so many different ways of doing this over the time that I've had this collection, and some of them are just
like organizing each game, or you like on the shelves. How do you
organizing on the shelves? So I've gone from like an ABC kind of thing, which is insane.
Right.
Don't do that.
No.
To having it in like groups of kinds of games. So these will be all the deck builders.
Do that. These are Uwe Rosenberg games, and these are.
I've done that before
games.
too, like designers by designer, yeah. Or by publisher even,
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to do it, and I've had it where all these different methods, and now I've gotten to the point where if it's a game that I know I love and I want to keep, and I'm not gonna ever trade it, I'm not ever gonna sell it, it goes on the back of the shelf.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except I have a favorite shelf.
Why on the back? Isn't the one?
Well,
because you always know you have them.
I always know.
Right.
I know I have them. I know where they are. And
you want to see the other games.
The stuff that you can't remember, and you're like, I do need to play that.
Yeah, to see if it stays or not.
I agree on that.
Well, that's actually a pretty cool idea. Yeah.
Scenario.
Those come to the
agree,
front,
right?
Yeah.
So that I'm more likely to grab those. But I also have a favorite shelf where the things that are my absolute all-time favorites, like Inish or. Everdell, or even that's a newer one. Game of Thrones, the card game.
I kind of do that, except it's a bookcase. It's like, if I really like the game,
it goes on the bookcase.
It's like the middle bookcase.
Downgraded from the Calyx.
Yeah, that's what it does. It's like, all right, well, you're gone. You're out. You're getting kicked off to the secondary bookshelf. You better be better next time I play.
That's right. So that's the system that I have now. What do you guys do?
I have a weird system because when I was doing Dice Tower reviews, my shelves were behind me, so I put all the really cool stuff that I liked in the field of the camera.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right. Other than that, I even with that being said, I still try to use up 100% of the space. I mean, if it looks like there's a gap, I'm shoving something in there. I mean, it's just I don't want to make it look ugly, but at the same time, I don't want to waste space at all.
Yeah.
And the other
Space
thing is
premium.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have two other shelves. I have one shelf that has really odd shaped boxes in it, like dataless sentence, which is like a pizza box, like a 24-inch pizza or something. It's so dumb. So I put like some weird, awkward, like the can't stop box, which is ungodly
Yes.
large for no reason. Like stuff like that, I put like on that shelf, and then I have another shelf that's actually it's a Billy bookcase, and I put all of the games that are the size of kind of like the Carcassonne box. Actually a little bit smaller than that. There's another box size. If I could think of a game right now without going over and look, you'll get it. It's like much thinner. Because the Billy bookshelves are only like 12 inches deep or 11 inches deep or something. And so they fit perfectly. And I put all those games together. So I try to group all the boxes
Box size.
by box size.
Okay.
The ones that are behind the cameras, I try to put the cool games. And then I have one shelf that I specifically put like classic games like the old Clue Mysteries and Clue Master thing. And just a bunch of games that are obviously outside of the designer series of games. Not necessarily mass market, because some of the mass market games I have now are on my shelf normally, but the older stuff goes together. Mostly because, I don't know, just all that artwork kind of looks like the same time frame, like terrible. And then all the good stuff is other places.
Yeah. And I think you do this a thing that I do, which is to have like a shelf of shame, or a shelf where these games are going out of the collection. Like the decision is made. They're gone.
Now I have a math trade shelf. Before I kind of had them intermingled in.
Yeah.
Now I've kind of taken those all out and put them in the math trade shelf.
I take it out of my general gaming area, and it goes into the unfinished basement on the.
Oh, wow.
You're anywhere else.
You're not even in my collection, technically. Yeah.
I've got a shelf that's just, they're all on the way out. And then I've got a couple shelves that are, I'm still deciding, they're on the cusp,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, how are you going to do it? You going to just however it fits?
Yeah, I'll wing it. I don't know. No, I'll probably be a little bit more planned.
You'll have one shelf strictly for land, sea, and air.
Yeah.
And then you'll
Yeah.
have you busted that out yet?
No, I've not. Like I said, there's no point.
Is it still in the crate?
It is still in the crate.
It's still in the box. That's actually my Gloomhaven. It's still in the shipping box.
Oh, wow. We're awesome.
And
Well, you played
that's,
somebody else's copy.
I did play someone else's copy, and I do like it. And I do want to bust it out. Just haven't, reserve that time.
Unless it comes to the day that you're gonna, it's scheduled.
Actually,
people are coming out.
That's where I was gonna go to next, real quick. Is I kind of know how obviously I know how I do it. I know how Tim does it. Tim gets a game, busts it out, bags it up. Like for me,
as soon as I buy that game, shrink is busted. I open all the pieces. I punch them all out. I put them in bags. If you want to play a game that's on my shelf, it's prepared.
It's ready to play.
I may not have read it, but it's prepared.
Right. I'm the opposite.
You
I
have
get a
sleeping
game.
parties?
Oh, see,
Eric does have sleeping parties. Bust out a game. We have
all right,
sleeve
let's
it.
do it.
Passes out packs of sleeves.
But how I do it is when I get a game, even if it's a game that I do want to play, but I do know that a lot of times I even want to play it, but it might be months down the line or years down the line maybe. So it does go on my shelf, and it is still in the wrapping until I'm like, all right, this week I'm going to get it played.
Yeah.
I'll take it out. I'll read the rules. I'll punch all the pieces, sort it all out. But I only do that once I know it's going to get played.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I do the same
Do
thing.
the same thing? Okay. Yeah.
Is that strictly in case you end up wanting to sell it?
I mean, sometimes I do end up like, I played someone else's copy, or
And I
it's
don't
like,
like
okay,
it.
I don't like it as much. I didn't waste all that time to get it ready, and it's easier to sell when it's new in strength. And
Because no one questions the components and
Yep.
Yeah. So that
And
makes sense.
it is a matter of time as well, if you just don't have time to do it.
Matt, I know like constraint wise, but at the same time, what about if you had the space and you got a new game, would you just open it whenever?
I usually open them right when I get them.
Yeah, to look through it and kind of smell the cards and stuff.
Yep.
That's what I do.
I like the cardboard smell.
Oh
he's
man,
like
dude,
a
it's
crack addict. Dude.
there's nothing
smell that.
greater. Like if you want to, if you bust open a fresh copy, at least of an old version of Agricola, right? You got all the best parts. You've got that cardboard. You've got that. I guess it's like German cardboard for cardstock for the cards. It's that. Oh, that is a perfect smell. Yeah. And then check this out. You got all the painted pieces.
It's like vintage wine. He's like, give me a nice 1999.
I dump all the components in there. I swirl it around before I take a whiff. Yeah. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, that's how I manage my collection. I basically ruin my lungs with particles of weird wood and stuff. Right. All right.
Yeah, one more thing is transport of games. Like you were saying, you're moving it to your new place and everything.
Oh, that's true.
You know,
to game day.
Yeah, absolutely, to game day, in and out of storage. The way I do it is IKEA bags. That's the best. They're like $5 at IKEA, and there's great big blue bags.
Yeah.
And I have also in my car, I have dedicated game space. Like this is where these are the games that I'm most anxious to play. I'm keeping them in my car. I'm ready to play them.
Right.
You know. and then.
Have you noticed any issues like warping or anything like that, or is the trunk usually okay?
The trunk's usually okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Although in storage,
I'm scared to do that.
Yeah. No, I understand that. It can be a risk, but also in storage, I have these moisture absorbing
damp rid.
Damp rid.
Yeah.
They sell like a big tub of it.
Yeah. So when I was recording, that's when I knocked over and spilled all over my floor. It was amazing. I had a shampoo.
You impaled yourself.
That was really bad.
That chemical
really bad story.
is real bad in there. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really bad because I have these posts on the chairs that you can see in the video, and I fell in the wrong part of my body as I was trying to jump over one of the chairs like an idiot.
Oh no!
So I jumped over, impaled my butt, and went flying into all my games that I had in front of my French doors over there, and knocked them all over. The chair knocked the damp rid over. I caught it all on my video as I was doing my reviews.
I want to see it.
Yeah.
You saved it?
I made a pretty funny noise.
Oh man.
Yeah. So thanks for that embarrassing story. But
so yeah. Anyway, in the car, I have the section of games that are new games that I really want to play, and then I have games that are old favorites that I always want to carry with me, just in case I get a chance to play them.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
So there's sort of two areas in the car. Do you guys do anything like that?
No.
Nope. Game nights, my house. Never have to move the games.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. I'll throw a shout out to Game Toppers. Berkey gave me one of the kind of like, you think those like bags, those cool stuff bags, those typical reusable bags that are fabric or whatever. They have one of those. It's a little bit more upgraded. I guess it's more. This one's more of like a plastic, kind of like a nylon. I don't know, but on the inside it has like that silver reflective stuff. If you want to use it as a cooler, or not like to keep the same temperature within it,
right?
And it zips up on top. So I kind of take that to game day. If I have more games than that, I have one of those drum bags that carry the big wooden drums that you beat on. It's just a huge rectangle basically that zips up the front and then on the top.
Okay.
So I've got one of those. It's a little too big, and most time when you're going to game nights, or at least for us, I don't need to take 40 games. I think it holds like 12 or something. But the little Game Toppers bag, I can have like 3 Ticket to Ride style games and some small card games.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably plenty, especially because where I'm going is usually Eric's or we all have tons of games.
Right.
So and we have kind of a plan of what we're going to play that day anyway, or at least like a handful of games that we are going to pick from. So
we always have 10 times as many games as
we do. We do.
We got these 8 games, and we got
well, we can get in these 5. Right. 2 games later, it's like time to leave.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anything else? Are we done with that? We're going to move on to the last topic.
Let's go.
All right. Let's do our top 5.